Welcome back to the Tim Weichselbaum Show. This is episode 61 of the program. My name is Tim Weichselbaum, and I haven't been seeing y'all in a few weeks. I took a break. I took a 1 week break from this podcast because I got bored of doing it with just me. You know, like, this is a self-improvement podcast, and I've improved myself enough where I already said everything I had to say. I'm better. I'm a better person, and I am good enough to where I could start branching out and I don't have to fucking do this alone anymore. So we're going to be having guests on. That's the biggest change of the format, is that all of a sudden, hey, I'm not just some idiot doing this alone in my house. We're going to have guests on, maybe some of which will be recurring guests, and maybe I'll even get like a permanent co-host who will laugh at the shit I'm saying instead of it just being some idiot talking to himself. Because if you have somebody laughing at your shit, it makes other people go, hey, maybe that's actually funny. Anyway, it's good to be back. I've been taking, a few more things before I introduce my fucking guest. I'm trying not to curse as much, but it's not going very well. Okay, so stand-up. I've been doing a little bit of stand-up. I don't know, man. I'm trying to get better at that. Like, I'm trying to become a little more professional. And one of the big changes I've made is I'm no longer bringing my phone on stage. After 10 years of doing stand-up, I'm finally going to do what most people in their first 6 months in do, which is to not look at their phone and read off it and not look at the audience. And it's improved 1,000% my sets because I actually am looking at the crowd. You know, like, I could read off my phone and it could be funny sometimes because it's funny to just be monotone and like tune out the audience. That could kill, but usually it's really bad. So I stopped doing that, and I'm never going to, even if I don't remember the bit, I'd rather read off a notebook or a flashcard than a stupid phone. The technology is the fact that everybody has a phone. It's like, oh, I could do that. So it takes the mystique away from the performance, and it's extremely unprofessional. So I got these custom-made business cards. They're like bigger than standard business cards. They're custom. They have the word that my logo, Gusto, Timmy Gusto's logo on them. So I'm going to be like just reading off of those little flashcards, because that's better than the phone, because I can't remember my material. I'm the type of comedian who has ADHD, and I just can't remember the shit I have to say because it's always changing. And I look at my jokes as like, okay, I just do them to get dopamine, and then once I've gotten the fix from them, I just throw them out. If I do a joke like again after a certain amount of times, it just feels like a used condom. I don't know. It's like I already got what I needed from that. So that's my problem. So that's why if I want to be good at stand-up, I have to either start memorizing my jokes, which is fucking hard, and I don't have enough Adderall to do that. Like that, I would have become an Adderall addict. So I'm going to be a flashcard comedian. So I'm excited for that. Okay, so really quick. And then let's just do one more thing before I introduce my very special guest who's sitting right next to me. I've been taking mushrooms like almost every day because I quit weed, and I also quit looking at porn and jerking off. I could do. Technically, that's not against the rules. You're allowed to jerk off if you're not looking at porn. But I've not been getting dopamine from my usual drugs of choices, which is mostly fucking weed. So I quit weed about a month ago, and so I have this misery of not getting that dopamine that I have been using like all fucking day for the past 15 years. So it's been a fucking slog. It's been difficult. I've been flatlining. It's been extremely difficult to want to do anything creative. That's another reason I had to take a break for a week, but we're back. So I've been taking mushrooms to supplement that, lack of chemicals in my brain. And it's been fucking fun, but I took a shitload last night on accident, and I had an anxiety attack, and fuck it, we'll get more into that as the podcast goes on if it comes up, but it doesn't matter. We're going to introduce our guest. He's a very funny comedian, very talented person. I've known him since I lived in Chicago. I met him about 5 years ago. His name is Michael Malamud.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Fuck yeah. Michael Malamud is a comedian that I did not start with, but we kind of started together.
I'm a comedian.
Hold on, you talk for a second. I gotta fix the speaker system.
I'm a comedian. We started separately, but we met in 2017.
Yep.
Over in Chicago. What do you say when you're in Chicago? Go Cubs, go!
I'm not a fan of any baseball players or any base. I was actually a Sox guy because my dad's from the South Side, so he was like, "Yeah, we went to Sox games."
Where on the South Side?
South Shore.
Oh damn, that's really south, isn't it?
Well, so it's a typical. Yeah, it's east.
It's like far.
Yeah, it's by the lake, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, South Shore. That's all I know about it. It was a very Jewish part of the city before Black Flight happened.
Yeah, Black Flight to the south of Chicago.
Well, White Flight. Sorry,
White Flight.
White Flight.
Yeah, it's the whites who fly.
That's who flew. It was, and the Jews then moved to Skokie. We're already talking about Jews. Great. That took 2 seconds. Great.
I worked in Skokie.
Yeah.
Amongst the Jews.
Amongst them.
I didn't work amongst them. It's really, there are other people besides Jews out there, but there are a lot of Jews out there.
Right, but historically, that's where a lot of them settled after the war.
Mm-hmm.
That immigrated here, and my grandpa was one of them. He was a gangster. He survived the Holocaust. So he was a tough survivalist, and that's where I got so I'm a tough person because I got his DNA, and so it'll take a lot to kill me.
Is that how you pronounced it? Holocaust?
I like to over-enunciate when I'm on camera.
Yeah.
And no.
Are you supposed to say cost because...
Holocaust.
Because there's an emphasis on costs?
I just like putting emphasis on it because I'm proud that he survived it.
Yeah, you should be.
How do you say it?
Holocaust?
Yeah, you don't put as much grit or emphasis. You don't put as much
like
weight.
Halloween.
I say Holocaust, and we eat holla.
Yeah.
Because we went to the... Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that would be like Holocaust.
Yeah. Holocaust.
If you really want to make a Jewish thing.
I'm fucking half Jewish.
You have something in your throat.
Speaking of that,
this is a 3/4 Jewish podcast.
Let's cut the tension with it. Let's fucking bring up the elephant in the room. This is my first time having a full-blooded Jew on the show. Uh-oh. I'm only half Jewish, so whatever I have to say about Judaism is
he's like half Spaghetti-O. He's half Italian.
I gotta take it with a grain of salt.
Half American Italian. Spaghetti-O. Real.
But my special guest was not only does he have the Jewish card for real, he was also raised, I think, culturally Jewish.
Oh yeah.
He's from New York. Let's talk about that.
New York.
He don't really talk about it too often, but this guy right here is from New York.
I'm from Brooklyn.
That's right.
Yep.
And he doesn't really talk about it.
And I lived in the Northeast.
Of this country, or what do you mean?
Of this country.
Of the city?
Of this country. I lived in New Jersey for a little while. I grew up there. That's what I really don't like to talk about.
Why is that?
It was just the worst. It was ages 6 to 10. It was it was like the most suburban, typical lifestyle I ever lived, and I didn't fit into it well. And it was very rich in a way that I wasn't familiar with to that point. Still had fun. Learned to ride a bike and I learned that in Brooklyn. Anyway, that was ages 6 to 10, but mostly New York City. Mostly New York City, Brooklyn, Queens, representing out here. B-Town in the house.
Okay, yeah, because I feel like you don't have that much like pride, or you don't like bring it up that often in your act. Because I have Chicago pride, and I'm not even from Chicago. So how did that happen? I don't know. Like I go, I'm from Chicago. We actually it'd be funny to get your dick sucked. But you don't say nothing about New York. How, like, I'm from Brooklyn, like Andrew Dice Clay.
I used to have such an ego about being from New York.
And then you just dropped it. You lost it. You became humble.
I just dropped it off because I realized that you can't claim an entire amazing historic city as your identity when you yourself have not done anything.
True. People do that with pretty much a lot of cities. They do that with Austin. There's a lot of people that go, I'm born and raised.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Who cares?
People hate it. Yeah, people hate us or me. Anyone who's new.
You were there before the cooler stuff came?
Yeah.
You were there before the good restaurants?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I get it kind of, but if that's your
I
whole
totally get it.
if that's your whole identity,
Yeah.
then that's kind of sad.
Your whole identity is a place that just like isn't here anymore.
Sure.
Yeah. Like Austin in the 90s.
They're
It's not here anymore.
They're going to get reparations for it. But I don't know. There's some of that. But anyway, let's talk about why your hair is wet. Where did you come from?
Detangled it.
Yeah.
I spent 2 days going into it with coconut oil and trying to pull out these natural dreads.
Oh, okay. Well, that's why you're shiny.
Oh, yeah.
That's why your face is like glistening.
Yeah, I have to be careful like not to touch any of this equipment right now. I'm so coconut oily.
Well, okay. It's not like it's conductive.
There's a jar and a half. Yeah, but you're going to be like...
They'll just smudge it up.
You're not going to tell me until weeks later you're going to be like, you smudged all my shit. Like,
Yeah.
I know you would do that. You'd be like, you totally... When
Yeah.
you were there, you smudged all my shit. It actually really pissed me off.
Smudged it.
Yeah.
But let's talk about where you were. What'd you do before this?
I was at home. I was doing that, and I was detangling and detangling. I thought it was going to be an hour-long process. I started yesterday, and dude, it took me overnight and into half of today to fully get all these knots out of my hair, and I ended up having to go at it with a scissor. I cut my own hair.
Oh, okay.
I cut my hair.
When was the last time you got a proper haircut?
Over a year ago.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Over a year ago.
Well, what about just before this? Like, where did you come from straight at before this place?
My house, I was cleaning.
Oh, I thought you did
cleaning
sorry.
like crazy.
I thought you did a float.
No, no.
That's what I was trying to get to.
Oh, yeah, I canceled that because of the detangling.
Oh.
Yeah, I canceled it because it was taking too long, and I didn't want to get coconut oil in the sensory deprivation tank. I was nervous about what they would say about it when I got there. But I have been doing flotations in a sensory deprivation tank nearly every day for the last 2 weeks, and I've been bringing some friends with me, including old Timmy Gusto here.
That's another thing I haven't talked
Gusto
about since the last episode. I went on a excursion all the way to North Austin, which was a drive, but it was worth it because I did something that I felt was necessary for my mental health and just my well-being. I went to a sensory. I floated. Like in a sensory deprivation tank, and it was pretty good. Like I felt really good afterwards. It definitely lifted my mood and spirit. And I tried not to get it in my eyes, but it was great. It was kind of like what I imagined it to be.
Yeah, you watch that salt. If you go do this, watch that salt in your eyes. It's gonna hurt. It's just salt, but it hurts.
Yeah, it's a shitload.
Yeah, it's 1,000 pounds in like a 10-foot puddle of water. That's like, I don't know, 10 feet by 5 feet. So it's a lot of salt.
Yeah, and like you have nothing to do in there except for think or meditate. So maybe not. Maybe
your
not.
choice.
Do you think, is that what meditation is? Just basically just not to like turn off your brain and just like...
You can't stop thinking. That's a common misconception about meditation. You have 10,000 thoughts a day, I think.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. Like you can't stop it completely.
It's like telling your liver to stop processing alcohol or telling your lungs to stop breathing.
So what is meditation in your opinion, in your words?
Well, there are different tools for it, but it's just breathing and focusing on your breath and letting that be the focus over your thoughts, over the contents of your mind, trying to create some distance from yourself or your thoughts. Because if you don't do that, then you're going to be, just at the whims of whatever thoughts you have at any given moment. You're going to be changing lanes a lot.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, you're going to be reactive. You don't want to be reactive in this world. If you can help it, you want to be responsive. That's how I get down.
So what has been your major breakthrough or reason or benefit? Why is it that you've been going on the floats like every day? What is the main impetus for that?
Oh, I just needed a slowdown. Things got so... I got back into comedy like 6 months ago. And when you're doing that in the amount that I'm doing it, like going out as often as I'm going out, combined with a day job and having, all the typical adult responsibilities, you just start to feel like you can't slow down. I was just constantly going to the next thing and thinking about what to do next and what I should deal with, and plans and goals and sets and bits and videotape this, that, and I started to feel like it was all I wanted to do. Like when I get really busy, that's all I want to do, is I want to keep that rolling. But I also was like sleep deprived and like not feeling super like I had any foundation or stability. And the last thing I actually wanted to do was go and do anything meditative. So when I found out that I could get this deal that I got, which I'm not promoting, I don't think you can get it. I think I literally went there on a good day. And
well, I did see it online for like $45, but I don't know about how doing it that many times.
Yeah, I get to go every day until February 14th, which is a crazy deal because I only paid them like $65 so far. I paid for someone else one day.
Okay.
But anyway, since it was the last thing I wanted to do, I was like, I got to do this because, I try to also always do what I'm like most afraid of. And I was most afraid of just like being with myself. So I did that. It was such a good idea. Excellent.
So in
5 stars.
So you've been doing it for a few weeks. Do you notice that there's a long-term improvement in your mental health?
Oh,
or
dude.
Physical health, anything?
Yeah. You know what? The physical's the top. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I deal with a lot of, like all people, I hold tension in various parts of my body, and, things get pretty tight along the left side of my whole body. And I mean, in the last 10 days of floats, I would say that most of that pain, which I've been carrying for years, and tension, has been easing every day. And I feel about like probably 50 times lighter from when I started in my own body, like walking around, and I've become more aware of how I hold tension when I'm in situations where I tighten up in my body that causes that pain. Brings more awareness to the body. It's so good.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah.
What I noticed when I was in there was it calmed me down about my ambitiousness, about my desire to make things happen in my my fledgling comedy podcasting career. It just made me realize that you'll get there. You just have to realize that it takes time, and that it just made me less pent up about it. It's like, you will get there. You have the talent. You're a Jew. You just have to like make the moves at the right time, and it will happen.
That's crazy. When I was in my tank...
Did you ever get horny in there?
Yes.
I wanted to ask you that question.
When I was in my tank, we'll get back to that. When I was in my tank, the answer is yes. When I was in my tank, when you were there, I actually sent out that I try to like
You thought of me? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I try to extend beyond the barriers.
I thought of you too.
I try to extend beyond the barriers of my own body and try to send thoughts out. And I actually sent to you. I was trying to send to you. You're a Jew, so that might have been why you heard that. That might have actually been
right.
Me.
Good. And I was thinking about. I just imagined your face just in there, like meditating, just like your fucking face just in that enclosed. Like that's what people do.
Only my face, no ears, no body.
Kind of
just water.
Well, pretty much just the thought, just the image of your face, just like meditating and like doing something so like highfalutin and like something so spirit. It just made me laugh. Just made me crack up.
Oh, that's good. I've been cracking up in there. Like my last one, I was cracking up
for sure. But then it went away. Then I became more. I didn't have to be funny. I didn't have to worry about my sense of humor. I was more like just meditative and just like, this is awesome. But you know that you're a funny looking person.
Oh yes. Yes.
This has been well established in your career. Mm-hmm. It's gotten you a lot of popularity in the comedy world.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt.
In the podcasting world, you have credits. You have a credit.
Oh yeah, that's right. I do.
he gets
The
laughs.
William Montgomery
Yeah,
show.
well, that's a big one.
That is a big one.
Yeah. So
It
you
was
have
cool.
that God-given talent of being able to get laughs just by showing up.
Yeah, you think it's visual, or you think it's
For that,
something else?
90, like it depends on the set, but like 90%, yeah,
Visual.
of that particular set was mostly
Oh, that one.
because
Yeah.
they caught your eyes. They latched just your eye contact is like penetrating,
Yeah, it's terrifying.
and just the way you were standing. I don't know, just the way you're like, yep, I'm here.
Mhm.
I don't know. But I have that too a little bit, but not as much as you. Like, I could go on stage and like get a laugh before I say stuff.
I believe so.
I would like to do more. I mean, actually usually better than when I start talking. It's great to build that tension.
You know what? You're good at space too. Silence. You deal with it.
you
People have, told me that, oh, you're good at silence way before
right.
the silence set.
Yeah.
But
he doesn't like being reminded of the. I don't like.
Why
I get
wouldn't
it.
I? No, I like it.
Because the way
it's
there's
just like,
silence yet.
it's just the only thing that the largest amount of people have a frame of reference towards.
Right.
So it's like, it's a frame of reference. But I'm happy it happened. It's good. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
Things happen to people and they act like, oh, fucking. I mean, it's challenging and it's interesting to come off it, but it's good. It is good. But way before that, people told me that I was good at dealing with silence. A lot of comics really aren't. You deal with silence.
You could get out
And
of.
you get laughs
You could get out of a bomb by not talking.
by sitting in it.
By
Yeah.
sitting in it and then breaking the tension. I did that the other night. Because if you just go up there, start rattling off your jokes, but not connecting with the crowd, you'll
It
bomb.
doesn't work. That's happened to me.
But I
Right.
got him back for at least a second by putting my joke book away
Mhm.
and just going. I knew I was going to bomb before I even started talking. And just this gap of silence was what made it got them to laugh. And like, yeah, you got to use silence to your advantage. Or
I
just
remember-
timing.
That's right.
Also, I was in a very bad mood. Like, I was in a depleted mood. And you've been around me when I've been like that.
Oh yeah.
When I've been in a very dark place.
Yeah.
And just doing comedy, but not getting any enjoyment out of it. And if I'm not enjoying myself, of course, it's not going to go well.
Oh yeah.
And I'm going to feel that negative.
Yeah.
It's like, why
there
did
are
I do-
people,
yeah.
but there are people who can put all that away. I've definitely carried my shit on stage with me emotionally. I have the same thing.
I could put it away.
But there are people who put it
sometimes.
right away.
It depends on the environment. Like, I've been doing other shows, even in the same negative mindset, where I just got into it because the energy of the show got me the dopamine I needed to get me out of it. But if I'm going up there in a dead room, I'm not going to add value to it.
I love how you refer to dopamine. Like that's what you're in it for. Like that's
Absolutely,
the game for
absolutely.
you. Like if you could get a smartwatch that could read your dopamine so that you don't have to feel it and you could just like look, how much am I getting? You would totally do that.
Well, that's exactly why I do stand-up, is because I'm an addict for dopamine. Just same with anybody who has ADHD. We don't have it naturally, so we need to do whatever we can to get that boost of dopamine.
That's why you love weed too. Weed is a dopamine drug.
So
isn't it?
many ADHDers love weed and food and jerking off.
You love food? You love
women.
jerking off.
And well, it's not that I love it. It's that I
you
have to
love it.
Sure, but you could say that about stand-up. Anything that gives you dopamine, you're going to become addicted to. And the second I stop getting dopamine from it, I stop doing it. That's what I was saying at the beginning. Is like my jokes. If I've already gotten the laughs from them, I don't give a fuck about them anymore.
Oh, so dude, when you were saying that, I couldn't chime into your monologue because I don't.
Well, now you can.
I don't disrupt greatness and artistic
expression.
Expression,
Sorry.
but
Whatever
artistic sublimity.
Oh, that's way bigger of a word than I.
Is that a word? I think I made it up.
Sublimity.
It was sublime. Timmy.
Yeah, sublime. Cool.
Tim. But I didn't interrupt it. But when you were saying that thing about your jokes and getting tired of your jokes. And man, that happens to me all the time. I'm just starting to hone in on the writing and making myself do it again and again, the like jokes, because it's the only way to get better at the jokes, to make them better.
That's why I prefer to improvise. That's why I like podcasting.
Yeah.
Way better than stand-up, because I just can't. I don't have an act because I don't want to have an act.
I know.
I hate that's just how it is.
Yeah. Can you imagine having an act?
Yes, I can imagine.
Okay.
I know what it's like to have an act because I used to have 5 to 10 minutes that I would do repeatedly, but I hated. It wasn't fun.
I got about 5 right now, which in stand-up they say that means that I have about 2.5. If I'm saying that I have 5, I have 2.5, but I don't. I actually think it's 5. Of course I do.
Yeah. Well, you know, as you go along, what it actually is. The longer you do it.
But it's definitely.
You said 5. It's not like you said 20.
No.
If you said 20,
I've never
then
said
maybe that'd
20
be true.
in my life.
But you said 5.
Yeah.
That's
I've never
reasonable.
said 20 in my life.
Most new comics are like,
people saying they got 20. That's fucking crazy.
That's what you're,
and I've seen them too. Come on.
That's what you
Give
mean.
me a break.
That's what you're saying when people say that's what you meant. Whatever. It's not true for you, maybe. It's true for people who say, yeah, I got 20 minutes. No, you don't.
That's
unless
like
you've been
the
doing
highest compliment you've ever given
Unless
me.
you've been
Thank
doing
you.
it for 10 to 15 years plus, you don't have an accurate measurement for how much material you have. It just takes time. Stand-up is the one art form that takes probably more time than any other to master. Maybe not. I'm sure there's exceptions, but fuck it. Stand-up really is one of the longest things to take to master as an art form.
Oh, dude.
And comics get so fucking anxious and greedy, and they go, why the fuck wasn't I booked on this? It's like, well, because you've only been doing it for 4 years, first of all. You're not that good. You think you're good. It's the most fucking, what do you call that thing where people think they're better at something?
Uncanny Valley. No.
No, it'll come to me.
What's that? It's the effect. It's the competence thing.
Yeah. Dunning-Kruger.
Dunning-Kruger.
So that applies to stand-up more than any fucking art form. Because you could be pretty good as a painter, like in a couple of years. You could figure out a technique or whatever. It's like, okay, Bob Ross, whatever. But stand-up is so individualized. Like, you might be good at one form of joke telling or joke writing, but that doesn't mean you found your voice yet.
And even when you find shit, it's like, that might not be the sustained you, Like, you could find shit and have a little period. You could get on SNL for a season, 2 seasons, and then have nothing for 10 years and be working on an act and then come out a whole new seasoned thing.
For sure.
Like, people have peaks and valleys in their careers, too.
And that's not even stand-up. That's, like, sketch. I'm just talking about
that's
stand-up.
True. Yeah.
Because you could be on SNL and never do stand-up again. Most probably SNL people, they only do stand-up so they could get on a big show and have a career in TV or movies or anything else and never do stand-up again because they're not real that's not their passion.
Yeah, stand-up's the best.
It's the best, but it's also super rare to meet somebody who actually loves it.
Yeah.
And that's why there's so few Jerry Seinfelds and Louis C.K.'s. Because those motherfuckers actually are in love with the process.
Mm-hmm. And there's an audience for it. There's an audience for it that is beyond the audience for any comedy shit. Like stand-up people. Because stand-up's it's the best. It is the best comedy form, hands down. There's nothing better. There's nothing more.
I don't know
exciting.
if it's my favorite to consume.
I think it is mine.
It is my favorite to do.
Yeah.
Besides, podcasting I also love.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason I love stand-up is because of the instant gratification of thinking of something and you get that reward instantly.
I like that. I love the pressure and the confrontation.
That too.
Yeah.
That's why you get the adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
So that why it's even, you get that when you stick the landing, you get that dopamine. Going back to that.
Yeah.
It's all just brain chemistry. That's what life is. That's what being a human is boiled down to, is what chemicals are you chasing after? What chemicals do you have a deficiency of or an overload of?
I like that perspective. I see that as useful.
I'm very clinical.
That's not the way I operate,
I
see that as useful.
I could be a doctor.
Yeah, he's a Jew. He could be a lawyer.
Both of us.
Yeah.
If we combined forces, we would have the best law firm in the fucking city.
We could have a law firm, podcast, comedy show.
Oh, yeah, I do have an
company.
idea for a comedy. What happened, first of all, before I get into that, my idea, which is going to be fucking amazing if I actually get my shit together and actually do it. What happened with is that okay if I bring that up?
My
had,
podcast?
No, you had an idea for a comedy show.
Oh, I pitched it to the Creek, but I never got an answer back. I don't know. I also didn't send them another anything.
Did they ask?
I didn't.
What
do you mean?
Did they respond to the initial?
No.
Oh, okay.
So
how did you send it, over email?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
okay.
I imagine that they have a lot of pitches, and maybe they didn't like mine. I don't
see. That's the thing.
personally.
I don't want to just send a fucking cold email. I want to tell it to everybody in the periphery of the person who actually makes that decision before pitching it.
That's the person that I talked to who gave me the email and told me to pitch it. I talked to Rebecca Trent.
Right.
The night of my...
Well, I'm talking before her. I want to talk to everybody else who works there for the most part to make sure that they know about it, to permeate the idea, and then I'll know when it's time to go to the person in charge. Also, there's other venues.
I talked to him. Shout out Brandon. Shout out Stacy. Shout out Zach. Javi.
Yeah.
You're never going to float with me. You're dead to me.
Well, whatever. The point is, I have a really good idea for a show. Everybody that I've told about it has said it's a good idea. Nobody's tried to talk me out of it. And I was on shrooms last night at the very club that I want to do it at, and I was just thinking, I had this moment of epiphany-like moment. I was like, it's not going to take somebody else helping you pitch it. You got to do it yourself, because this is your destiny, and it's your life.
Very shrooms.
You're gonna
exactly
fucking,
what you wanted of shrooms.
You're gonna fucking die someday, and you only have a certain amount of time on this earth to take risks.
No, we're already dead.
And put yourself out there, so you have to take the risk and you have to put yourself out there, motherfucker. So tonight's the night.
Dead.
And so I went up to one person who has a lot of pull there, and they said they liked it.
Who's that?
It doesn't matter.
Ooh.
I'm not here to name names.
You're right.
I'm talking about the general.
I named a bunch of names just now.
That's great. That's fine. I'm just saying what I got to do is I have to I can't just wait for somebody to be like, yeah, I'll help you pitch that. No, I have to be the one to have the balls to be like, this
Grab
is a
some
good
balls.
idea. I know that I have the skills to produce it. So motherfucker, make it happen.
What is it?
So the idea is called Killing from the Green Room. We're going to have a projector that live projects what's going on in the green room. Comics will be talking amongst themselves in the green room, and we'll show in the showroom what is going on. And then if somebody is funny enough, the audience will be voting on their phones in real time. And if they get a certain amount of votes, they get to do a set in the main room.
That's a great idea.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And that's the elevator pitch. There's obviously a little more that went into the logistics. Like that's a lot. That's a lot that's gonna have to have.
You could do it.
I could do it.
You could do it, and that's pretty fucking cool,
So,
dude. I've never seen anything like that.
So anybody could sign up, just like Kill Tony. But even to get pulled, even to have the chance to go in
the green room,
to even being in the green room is up to a bucket. But that's still pretty good. So you'll get
how many people
in the bucket or in the green room? Probably 5 or as many as we could.
Perfect. That was the number I had
probably
in my
about
head.
5, because everyone will have to have a microphone and a camera will be showing, moving around.
Oh, it's gonna feel like the Comedy Door Guy podcast. Have you seen that Comedy Store?
No. But
okay. Anyway.
But yeah, that's the idea, and they'll have. So we got it. That's a lot to set up. So it'll be a podcast too. And the people in the green room will have...
Oh, and you're recording, so then you release the episodes.
Well, it'll be a podcast.
Yeah.
Not of the set, just of the green room.
Yeah.
And when the person gets on stage, we cut off the feed.
Okay.
So they won't longer be able to hear what they're saying in the green room, but we'll still record that for the podcast.
Okay, so then you record shit talking too.
Yes,
and
exactly, because they'll also be watching what's going on. They'll have a TV in the green room, hopefully, ideally.
Yeah.
So that's the idea. It takes I'll have to make an application on it for people, so there have to be an internet connection so people could vote. So it's interactive, and that's pretty much it. I would be the host.
Damn, you're gonna build an app for that?
Yeah, I could do absolutely. I could
Oh,
do,
you're capable of it.
it'll
yes.
have to have people sign up and have.
I'm a big believer in Tim Weichselbaum.
Thank you. They'll
No,
upload
for-
a headshot so they'll be able to see the comic's name. As soon as they enter the green room, they'll be in the. They'll only have about 10 minutes to kill in the green room, or else they got to go home.
Yeah.
That's it. It's like, sorry, buddy, you didn't say anything fun. Or who the fuck knows? Maybe.
Yeah.
Some people will get
Can
voted.
they vote him out? Because I think
no,
if
it's
they're
just time based. It's just
Okay.
10 minutes.
All right.
And if they don't get it in 10 minutes, they're gone.
all right.
And some people will kill without even saying anything. Probably.
Yep.
It'll be funny just see someone just sit there, but they'll get votes by popularity. Who the fuck? All right, so that's the idea.
Random stuff. Yeah. Because the bucket polls can be like Kill Tony, anyone, right? Anyone who wandered
Unless
in.
they're like such a
Can get in the
unless there's
green
like
room.
super sketchy and like we just don't want them in the green room of a club. That's the only reason they would not be allowed.
All right.
They don't
that's
have to be a
good
comic.
show.
You know, because I was talking about this with somebody like, yeah, you don't want to just put anybody on that. And I was like, yeah, fair enough.
You haven't pitched this yet?
I gave the elevator pitch to people who have a lot of sway,
Oh, good.
but not an actual booker yet.
You gave the elevator pitch while you were tripping on shrooms that night?
I was down. I was fine by that point, but the shrooms is what gave me the courage to fucking deal with my social anxiety.
Yeah, you said that that you were tripping.
That was the main takeaway from the trip. It was a real trip. I had a lot of visuals and like the anxiety attacks were insane to the point where it was becoming like a panic attack. It was physical, like electricity was pulsating through my body. So I had to do breathing exercises and I got out of it. It was fine. And I was like, this is the perfect place to be, at a comedy club with other comics who also are going through the same shit as you. And I just realized you have social anxiety. That's your biggest wall in life. That's your biggest barrier that you have to overcome. And
oh, cool.
since I don't drink anymore, it's going to take actual effort
Yeah.
to get through that. And I was like,
Exposure therapy.
and that's it. I was just like, you know what? That's your problem. That's why everybody doesn't always talk to you, because you are afraid of them. You put off this air of negative, of just like weirdness, and you don't know how to join. Because I don't drink anymore. I don't have any crutches. So that's what I have to deal with.
Yeah, even I got some
It's
crutches
going to
going.
take work.
You know.
Yeah.
And I take pride in my ability to do
You don't.
whatever.
You don't
but
drink much.
Well, but I'm smoking weed like nearly all day, every day right now.
That's a crutch.
Oh,
but
that's
not
a
for
crutch.
social. It doesn't help with social
And the
anxiety.
cigarettes.
Cigarettes do.
Yeah.
Cigarettes are good for
Cigarettes help
social-
with social anxiety a
That's what I
little
heard.
bit.
That's what I
A
heard.
little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
The weed is weird. It can help in weird ways, but not if I'm not doing it a lot. If I'm doing it all the time, it helps.
Sure.
But if I'm not doing it and I smoke, then it's the exact opposite.
Then it's too intense.
Yeah.
So
right.
another thing is I was fasting for 45 hours when I dosed. That's another reason it fucking killed me.
So that might be a gram and a half.
I learned that the hard way.
Yeah, of course, dude.
And
that
also,
makes sense.
another reason I took them is because it was at a Joe Rogan show. So I was like, okay, Joe Rogan's here. Redban was there. So I talked to him. I was like, hey, man, check this out. He was like, there's an ending to those. That's what he said. He was like, I don't take mushrooms because there's an ending to them.
What?
Because he's obviously taken too much before.
Yeah.
So he knows what it's like to overdose on them.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, yep.
Oh, so he's saying he overdid it?
That's what I inferred.
I thought he was implying that he had reached the limits of what they can offer to you.
Same, yes, yeah.
Some people hit that with
basically
psychedelics.
he doesn't do mushrooms. That's what he doesn't do them anymore. That's what I got out of it. He's like, yeah, he was like, yeah, great. There's an ending to that. And I was like, yeah. And I took him anyway. It was a fucking great night, man. But the way they started hitting me was very scary because I wasn't expecting to trip at all, because I take them very often. And when it did, the waves of anxiety and just thoughts I had were, beautiful, but also like, I don't know where this is going. I don't want to have to like tell somebody to babysit me. But I did talk to somebody who gave me some nice, he checked up on me throughout the night, and it was perfect because they wore off as the show ended. So it's not like I was still tripping and I had to like go home still tripping. So I was totally back to normal. It was perfect.
Psychedelics can really remind you of how scared you are of shit. You
That's
know,
what
because
they did,
yeah, because like it's easy to walk around being like, I'm not scared of shit. You know, you don't even think you're thinking that way, but you are, because you kind of think subconsciously that you're not going to die and that you'd be ready to face it if you did. And psychedelics, something about them puts you right up into contact with like the fact that death exists, and that you don't know it, and that it's bigger than you, and that and that you're scared of it. You don't admit it, but you're scared of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and they're useful for that, because then you come down and you could pitch whatever show. You're like, I'm gonna die,
because you realize that time is ticking, and this is your destiny.
Yeah,
That's what I felt. But not only because
meet destiny.
I've always felt that I had a trajectory that was going to lead to big things happening, but that was the night that it actually felt real. Like, no, motherfucker, you can't just wait for some famous person to come to you and be like, oh, you're pretty funny. You want to do something? No, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
The real big things that happen start with somebody taking a risk because they believe in themselves, solely themselves. Because when you're tripping on mushrooms, you feel alone. You feel like you're an entity that's detached from the people around you when you're tripping that hard. So it's like, fuck. And then that's just how it felt.
No, I'm listening.
And I just, and my mortality was, I was like, you're in your 30s. So you're, if I was younger, I would have been freaking out a lot more. Like, I have some experience. I know how to do breathing exercise.
But at the same time, you're in your 30s. And then sometimes that can feel weird on a lot of psychedelics.
It's a weird, everything,
like,
sure.
It's like, I'm supposed to be, why don't I have a software job or whatever? You might not have those feelings.
Of course. I'm at a weird point in my life.
Yeah.
Where I have to throw out a line.
You are at a weird point in your life. Because
I don't have a day job.
You don't have to work.
I have my own house, which is trippy in and of itself.
It is trippy.
Just having your own house.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, and it's nice. But people could easily look at your life and be like, oh, I wish I had that, like, and think that it's not challenging.
Yeah.
Like, to me, there's no illusion that you're not at a challenging point in your life.
Most of my life is not challenging. Waking up, being comfortable, having my own car, everything, my bills are paid. That is comfortable as fuck, but that doesn't mean I'm fulfilled.
And that's the challenge.
That doesn't mean my brain
That's what I'm talking about.
I might still have mental illness.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at.
You definitely got some stuff rolling around, but it makes you interesting. It makes you who you are.
And I'm shedding light on it. I found out many things by doing this podcast itself. This is a self-improvement. So what I found out is that I needed to quit drinking. That's how I started. I quit drinking.
I remember those clips because you did that 5-day fast.
That was a big one.
And then you were talking. I was thinking about that the other day. You were talking about a bagel with lox. Remember that? Bagel
with lox. I love that.
Yeah.
Sorry. And then a couple other things I found out is that I have ADHD and that I need to treat that. That was a game changer. And sleep apnea. So the next big thing is social anxiety. That's what I got to break through. And it's like lifting weights. You can't just take a pill for it. You can. There's pills that help for that, but it's not good to just take a pill for everything.
Yeah.
Because you could get the effects of Adderall without taking Adderall if you do the work.
Yeah.
If you exercise, if you take cold showers.
Are you lifting weights?
Not lifting weights. I do push-ups and I do cardio.
Cold
showers. So that produces
cold
dopamine.
Showers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Real deal. One thing I haven't told many people, but why not, is before and after the float, I take cold showers because you have to shower before.
Yeah.
And there is a shower afterwards if you want.
It's hard.
It's hard, dude. But once you're rolling on it, it's like stand up in that way.
Once you stay in it for long enough, you start not feeling the cold anymore, and it just converts into good feeling chemicals and endorphins. Yeah, and it lasts for hours.
I'm telling you, it feels like going on stage.
That's what I realized is my next thing to overcome is social anxiety and just working out.
Gritting your teeth.
Yeah, I do that a lot.
Yeah, I love it.
I get very passionate on this podcast.
Yeah,
and
it's good.
I'm also trying to help other people. I realized also what I like to do is help other comedians get over their issues that they have internally, like if they have a set that doesn't go well, or if they're just complaining that they didn't get the audition last night. I don't know if you knew about that. Not the Comedy Store.
The door guy thing?
For the Joe Rogan Club, to be a regular there. That was last night, and a lot of people obviously were upset that they didn't get on it. And I was like, telling them,
shit like that flies right by me. I'm so used to not getting shit. There's so much shit.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, like, I just saw that there's this thing happening at the Creek called Keenan... You see that?
Kenan Thompson?
Yeah. Kenan Thompson's at the Creek, and a few of my friends are on it, and I was like, that one I felt like a touch, but like, you just can't, just let it go, man. Not everything's for you all the time.
Let it go. Don't fume. Don't like show off. Don't like complain.
Yeah.
Or at least not in front of people that are going to judge you for it. You could complain to your close confidants about it, but the point is you should take that as encouragement to get better.
Yeah.
Because if you ain't getting auditions, it ain't them.
Why should Kenan Thompson even know my name?
Well,
at the end of the day,
there's millions and millions of examples of things that people want that they feel they deserve that they don't.
Yeah.
They just don't have enough self-realization.
Oh, that's another thing. Yeah.
Because I'm funny. We're funny.
Yeah, but we're hilarious.
Does that mean I feel like I deserve to audition? No, because I'm not consistent. I'm the most inconsistent comedian in the fucking town, whatever. And it doesn't mean I'm not funny. I mean, I know I'm funny. When people tell me I'm funny, I go, yeah, I know.
Yo, who's more inconsistent, you or me?
I don't like to compare myself between people. The point is, we're both funny.
I was talking.
I've been doing it a little bit longer and more, but like in Chicago, whatever. I've been lifting the weights and like I've done enough open mics. I know I'm funny.
I think you've done a lot more.
That's been proven. That's been proven 1,000 times over.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't need to know I'm funny.
Yeah.
I need to get better at being funny consistently.
Yes.
That's my thing.
That's the thing about a professional is consistency.
Yeah.
Consistently hilarious.
Topic of this podcast.
When I'm good enough, I'm going to release a special called Consistent. It's just about being fucking consistent.
I have a thing about people that put out specials. I think it's kind of not the best idea to put out a special if you're not 20 years in.
I think it's cool to make something that's hugely and wildly ambitious even before you feel ready. And at the end of the day, that's what you're going to need to do.
Sure, I mean...
Because even 20 years in, you're going to stay... Even if you waited all that time and you're like, yeah, I'm ready. These jokes are fucking it. Like, they're perfect.
Yes.
You're still going to feel like you're not ready.
But the reason I think that, though, is because if you have 20 minutes of material... or 40, let's say you think you have a special's worth of material and you're putting out a hour-long special, unless you're 20 years in, you probably don't actually have an hour of material. So you're putting out your best material online and probably not getting paid for it because you're just doing it to say you have a special. It's just all for bragging rights. And on top of that, now you can't do your act anymore and get paid for it.
Well... If you
want to make money,
the internet, so there are like two routes. The internet, the one reason I wouldn't release a special like next year, like if I wanted to release a special, I could get an hour's worth of material in a year.
And then what?
I could have it for in a year.
What's the purpose of putting that out?
And then I could release the special. And I am telling you that in 5-10 years, I would look back on that thing. Even if the jokes were hitting, I would look back on it and be like, this wasn't good enough to release. I just know from my trajectory.
So then why release it? So you're not endorsed. You wouldn't never do that.
No, I wouldn't do that because...
So you agree, kind of. Yeah.
Because the internet... Yeah, I pretty much agree. Yeah. The internet is... How does this work? The internet...
Just fuck with that.
Yeah.
Just do whatever you want with it.
It's like a lock.
It's just for hyperactivity. It's just to
awesome.
Do something to keep your mind...
Yeah. The internet is a fucking Akashic record. It's a permanent place and everything sits there. And when you're an entertainer, a comic, when your business is creating content, you want to be really careful about the stuff you release. The first stuff you release I'm just saying, the reason I say that is because it's about money. You're not going to make much money as an unknown comedian putting up a thing on YouTube. It'll get maybe a couple thousand views if you're lucky, and you're not going to get
much money, maybe $100.
Okay, if you're looking at that,
If
yeah,
you want money
you're
in stand-up, the way to
Yeah.
do that is by traveling to different clubs and selling tickets.
same way it's
That's
always
why you
been.
don't want to ditch your first hour or 20 minutes of material. Realistically, you only have 20 minutes of material if you've been doing comedy for 10 to 15 years.
Say
So
it's a
why the
tight- yeah,
fuck would
say
you put
it's
it on?
even a tight 20?
So that's what I'm saying. Because
Yeah.
if you don't put it out, you could just keep doing those jokes for years and years and make thousands of dollars.
On the flip side, though,
That's the whole reason.
Say you're
against that.
Say on the flip side, say you do it. Say you release 20 minutes of
and
material.
many people do, yeah.
You call it Michael Malamud live at the fucking bullshit, whatever, and say it even kills, but say it got 3,000 views.
Yeah.
What's the issue with doing that material still? Only 3,000 people have seen it.
Because then if
I still have a problem.
Because then anybody could just look that up and they're like, why the fuck am I buying tickets to this guy?
Yeah.
But fair enough. Maybe you don't even have enough clout to even
I just
sell
think-
tickets. So maybe,
I just think
But-
you can only have your first thing once.
I just
You
think
can
it's
only have
over.
your
It's
second thing
overdone.
once.
It's a overdone thing that doesn't work any. It's not special if everybody's doing it before it's ready to be put out. And you
I
could
kind of realized. I feel like you don't.
You don't
need
get
You
exposure.
don't need one anymore.
You don't get exposure by putting out an hour special. You get exposure by putting out reels and TikToks and shorts. Thousands
It's
of people.
It's all.
So I'm just speaking
minutes,
by what
seconds now.
Yeah, so that's why I'm not. I mean, of course, I'm not going to do that, but for other people to do it as well, if they want to make money, keep those jokes while you have them because you can get paid a lot more in the clubs. That's all. That's the only thing I wanted. That's the rant.
Beautiful rant.
Yeah, I have many rants
I
about
loved it.
comedy. Another one is open mics should ask you how long you've been doing it. Next to your name, if you sign up for an open mic, there should be another column next to your name. How many fucking years have you been doing stand-up? And order the set list or the lineup by that, not by who you know, not by
but
your
dude,
fucking friends, you fucking losers.
What about the people who have been doing it for 10 years and have had 6 sets?
Then you'll stop doing that for them. Then you'll stop putting them up.
All right,
You'll
fair
find
enough.
out who those
Yeah,
people are.
Yeah.
That's not that hard.
Yeah.
That's how I would do it next time I start producing a mic.
Tim's vision is a beautiful nepotism.
It's such an... That's not nepotism.
Is that what's nepotism?
That's the opposite
Nepotism
of-
is family.
That's the opposite of nepotism.
Meritocracy. That's what I was talking
That's
about.
exactly.
That's what I
And
meant.
that's what the Green Room show is about.
Yeah.
It's more meritocracy. Because if you're funny off stage, you could get an opportunity. Or if you just... It's also open to anybody.
Oh, it would be great to see, much like certain other famous shows. It would be great to see.
Well, who do you think it was inspired by?
Yeah, of course.
Redban.
Yeah.
Death Squad. Shout out. I almost asked him what he thought about it, but he only had a few seconds of FaceTime that I could get with him. But anyway, he'll fucking find out about it.
Love those guys.
Let
it be known.
He's the Podfather, and he's inspired. His creativity inspires me.
Dude, that guy's a genius.
He invented.
Redban is a genius.
He started the Joe Rogan podcast, Kill Tony, and Your Mom's House.
He did?
He
I
also
didn't know
started
that.
that one. Yeah.
Also, like, have you
Yeah.
watched Virtual Redban?
Yeah.
That intro is so cool.
Yeah.
Like, and all of it. I love all of it. The special. You know what that's from?
What do you mean the special?
When it shows like special in the beginning and it all spins. It
Oh,
does
yeah,
it in the
yeah, yeah.
beginning of Kill Tony.
No, he's
too.
really good at that type of stuff.
Yeah, that's from like CBS back in the like old TV days.
Right.
It's cool.
I
It's
listen
really cool.
to it pretty often just to see what he has to keep up to date on the scene because he's one of the leaders, influential leaders and powerful gatekeepers, whatever you want to call it. But I'm just talking about his creativity and the fact that he's a tech junkie. That's what trickled down to. That's what he uses that creativity and knowledge to do shit that not everybody would think to do, such as the Joe Rogan fucking experience. And Kill Tony. I think he's the one who thought. I'm not sure. I was going to ask him, but I didn't have time. I'm pretty sure he's the one who started or thought of the idea. I don't know.
Oh, I wonder.
I don't know. I'll
I
ask
don't know.
him.
It sounds like a very Tony Hinchcliffe idea.
Here, I'll put it in my story, and he'll see it. Hey, Redban, are you the one who thought of Kill Tony? Get back to me. Okay.
Yeah, we're curious.
Yeah. Anyway, that's what inspired me is Kill Tony, because it's so oversaturated with comedians and so non-comedians who sign up and they get pulled because they're a new name, and then
I heard that was more in the LA days, but still definitely.
Oh, it's way worse now.
You think it's worse now?
LA, I've been watching it since it started.
Really?
Yeah, and in LA, in the belly room,
oh damn,
most people would miss their sets.
Yeah,
like, oh great, they're not okay, and there's not even an audience. Trust me, I've been watching it for that long.
I haven't been able to find an older episode than 100.
So the reason I thought of my idea is because I got frustrated by not getting up there, and it's like, why not? You know what? I could think of something, and.
Of course.
They don't ask the comics how long they've been doing it, and if they want to showcase unrecognized talent, that would be the question to ask. How long you been doing it?
They're not.
But since they're not going to do that, that's why I thought
I don't think they started the thing looking to make comedians' careers.
I don't
maybe,
know. I have no idea what he said before.
The point is, no matter what happens to you on that show, they're not going to sweep down and make it for you anyway. It goes back to that thing you were saying. Like, you still got to do your
That's
own
another
stuff.
thing.
Like, they're not.
That's another great point. Even if you do make it on there, even if you do become a regular and get all the thing you think you want from it and deserve, that who knows if you'll be able to stand up on your own after they ditch you. After they stop fucking with you.
Yeah.
Like if you get fired,
if you stop fucking with them, or whatever it is. Whatever happens.
Then how are you going to sustain that? So that's what I'm dealing with, is learning that, you know what? You got to be your own producer. You got to think of your own project.
You had this mentality for a while, though, but not as honed in. Not this.
Yeah.
You had the adjacent mentality, which is... I got to make my own shit and stop going to open mics and doing that grind.
And I've done it before, but not not like this.
But now you're starting to
I've stepped it up again.
Now you're
Now I'm
thinking, you're starting to think about how to make a living.
Like I realize that you have to take, like Austin, you can't just swing in here with an ego and think everything's going to be easy just because you started off in a bigger city. That's a backwards, incorrect thing. You have to look at Austin as... You got to be like, no, this is a time to make mistakes, to make, not mistakes, but
no, it's a good ground to make mistakes.
That's not what I'm going for, but what I mean is like take risks. You have to put, it's like going up to a girl. You have to actually be like, not be like, oh, I'm so good that I'm just going to wait for them to come up to me. No, you have to be the one who has the balls to go up to them. That's what I found out last night from the mushrooms.
Yep.
Yeah.
You gotta, you know what's cool about Austin? It feels like, creatively, you feel like a fucking cowboy. Like, you gotta get your food. No one's there. It feels like, creatively, there might be some restaurants and stuff, but you'll have to cut the chicken's head off, you know?
They don't,
their own chicken. Yeah, no handouts. Like, Chicago, it's all there for you. Actually, in many ways now, I feel like Austin's a bigger comedy city than Chicago.
Well, in terms of comics, in terms of the number of comics going up, the graph would look like this.
But also the feeling of the energy.
There's no easy laughs here.
Dude, I've heard that the open mics are among the worst in the country.
There's no easy laughs. You have to earn them, but if you're funny, anyone will laugh. So you can't really blame your environment. You have to blame yourself. You have to just get funnier.
Funnier and funnier and funnier. The only way to get funnier is to get unfunny.
Well, you have to go through shit.
You have to you gotta go up in funny, and then if you're really doing it right, you'll go down again, because that's your momentum that carries you upwards again.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Like, you have to keep.
Well, you need
it's the risks.
The life experience. You need life experience. You need those negative points, like I'm going through right now. That negative thing of like going cold turkey without weed and all that. That's why it's gonna be like I'm actually doing life on hard mode. So,
it gets super hard mode, dude, when you got nothing.
And life is supposed to be hard. That's what you don't want to admit, or that's what you don't want to reconcile. It's like, no, it's supposed to be hard.
That's very stoic.
Yeah.
You like the stoics?
I'm trying to be a stoic. Yeah, I like stoicism.
Yeah, me too.
people respect somebody who doesn't react to shit thrown in their face, who just lets it slide and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like if
It's very, Buddhist, Hindu also.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And just letting things not get to you. If somebody says something nasty to you, just not letting it fuck up your whole day and all that. Just letting it, I don't give a fuck what that person. It's just, why would I care what that person has to say? If there's some tiny asshole, some nobody, why am I letting that stick in my craw?
I feel like if I could be sober for like 5 years, no cigarettes, no weed, no nothing except psychedelics occasionally. If I could be sober for 5 years and do everything I'm doing, I feel like I'd feel amazing. I feel like ultimately you'll feel the best. So keep going.
Psychedelics aren't necessary to do that often. I mean, yeah, it's just they are necessary sometimes for some people. I think they're like essential to be prescribed to some people who are going
like
through.
Who?
Like people that have their brain tied up in a way that's unhealthy. If they have a knotted up brain, same like how some people have knotted up muscles, they have to get a massage.
Yeah.
The psychedelics, it invokes neuroplasticity.
Mm-hmm.
So some people need neuroplasticity. Here, can I take that back for you? You're making way too much noise.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
If you like it, then you can still have it.
No, it's okay.
Sorry, sorry.
It's your studio.
It's my studio.
Yeah.
No, anyway,
you're running the show.
This has been great. Let's just try to do another. I don't know. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great.
How about you? What is your main? Are you into self-improvement at all? What can I learn from you?
Constantly.
How can I learn? I've already said everything. I've caught up my audience up to date with my shit. How about you?
Well, you want to keep your head this oily. My forehead is my main superpower gift. Wow, I wiped it away. I could have done that the whole time. Nope. Look, there it is. Oily forehead.
You're caked in it.
It's that coconut oil.
Layered.
It's that coconut oil, man. I'm telling you. Self-improvement. You're doing so much of it. Cold showers, exercise, lifting weights is some of my favorite shit. I love the bench press because it's metaphoric, and I think the body responds to metaphor. You lift weight off your chest. You lift weight off your shoulders. You run the distance or whatever, but lifting weights is my favorite. Cold showers, meditation, and then, you know what? A lot of self-love. That's what I would recommend. Sure. I would recommend when you're out and you start feeling like you're putting out this energy. Why aren't people talking to me? Oh, it's me. Just be like, well, I love me, and I'm sending love into my body and into every cell of my body, because you deserve it, and you're very focused on the brain, and I'm fine with that. And also there's the whole mind body system, and everything that your brain does interacts with your body and vice versa. So if you send love, you can literally send love into your body from your brain, and that's what I'd recommend most highly. If you could just do that, like even just a little bit in your day, I think you'd benefit from it. Uh-huh. Find that you're feeling a little better about things.
And that's another thing that psilocybin does, is it makes you empathetic, not just for other people, but for yourself. It makes you not as tough on yourself. It's like, you know what? Take a break. Like, do what's good for you. Like, it makes you want to take care of yourself as if you're a baby.
Yeah, you ever see lions or tigers or any house cat? Cats are a great example. They know how to love themselves. They're so good at it that, they're absurdly prideful, and yet people revere them. But cats don't need to give anything to anybody to be beautiful or impressive or any of that. They literally just lay in the sunshine and clean themselves. And you can do that for yourself, and in fact, you might need it sometimes. Not because you smell bad, probably because you smell bad, probably because you're filthy and grimy, and covered in dust from the increasingly dystopian state of our world.
Okay.
But you can still give yourself that kind of cleaning, that relaxation. You give that to yourself. You lay out in the sunshine a little bit. You don't do anything productive. When you go back to all your productive shit, you're going to approach it differently. You're going to be better. You're going to feel better about yourself. Take a minute. You're alive.
What are some of your short-term goals and long-term goals?
My short-term goal is to have a 10. I got that 5.
You mean a hot woman?
No, that
Oh.
I'm sure that's an 8. I'm looking for an 8.
Okay, to get an 8. That's a good one.
Yeah, I'm reasonable. You start with an 8, and then people see you with the 8, and that's how you get the 10. You abandon the 8 in lieu of the 10.
I'm familiar.
I'm going to do an 8
with
first.
That,
you start with a 5 before a 10. You start with an 8 before
technique.
a 10. Yep. So I'm looking to get a tight 10.
Oh, 10 minutes of material. That's
start a show somewhere. Balance out the checkbook a little better than it is right now.
Oh, finances. That's something we didn't talk about. Yeah, finances. That's a big one.
Dude. Yeah. And keep the house a little cleaner. And be a little kinder to myself physical health-wise. A little down on the cigarettes and sleep deprivation.
That's great.
Just keep things a little cleaner. Long term, I'm looking to really, really be a force in the Austin scene and comedy-wise, and help lift up my funny friends in the process. And,
All right. Let's talk about your podcast now.
Unsettling In with Michael Malamud. Check it out. It's an audio podcast. Been doing about an hour-long episode every episode. This guy did episode 12.
Yeah, it was very fun. Yeah,
did a 2.5. What's up?
Nah, go ahead.
Just did a 2.5 hour long episode with Marcus O'Lind, who did great on the Kill Tony that was released on Monday. That's 593, episode 593. And yeah, man, it's so much fun. I mean, I got that equipment right before I had the silent set, and I was just like tinkering around with recordings and stuff. I actually started a podcast with my friend Caleb Reimer right before the silent set called Talkin' Tony. It was going to be like a sports, like an ESPN for Kill Tony, where you go over, you skip all the stuff in between the minutes and the interviews, and you just look at the minutes. I mean, you skip all the stuff except the minutes, and you break down what went right and or wrong with their sets. And we were having fun with that for a minute. And then, the silent set happened, and that kind of, I had a friend, Zach Mama, who's episode 3 of my podcast, who said you have to have something out for when that episode of Kill Tony drops. And that was a very, very useful piece of advice, because I would have never released anything, even though I had bought podcast equipment and was starting to think about a show anyway. So I just interview comics one-on-one for an hour. People are telling me that they are enjoying themselves. There are fans of it. Pretty cool. Really cool. Love that. And people are saying that I'm natural to it, which is amazing. That's awesome.
Fuck yeah, you are natural. Our conversations, I think, are very high quality. Off stage as well, off microphone. I love. Yeah, I think there's a synergistic quality to our conversation. That's why I wanted to have you. You're a very special guest. So I'm thankful that you did it, that you came out for this, and I think that's a good place to end. This has been episode 61 of the Tim Weichselbaum Show. Have a good week, y'all. Peace and love.
Thanks, Tim.
Sex.
Money.